Afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 3 presenter, and our topic for today is all about theories and principles, technology driven learning. And now, who is Edgar Dales? He was an American educator best known for developing the cone of experience, a model illustrating how learners acquire knowledge through more concrete to more abstract experiences. He made significant contributions to audiovisual instructions and educational media. He is the cone of experiences model is widely used in instructional design to enhance learning through effective multimedia use. And Edgar Dale has a cone of experiences, and there are 10 stages. The first is direct purposeful experience. These experiences engage multiple senses and involve actually doing tasks, which fosters deeper learning by enabling learners to construct ideas and meaning from direct interaction. Example in technology, using a 3D printer to design a create physical object, and another operating a drone to understand its mechanic and control. And lastly, the example of coding and debugging a program in real time or in a computer. Then, let's move on to the contrive experience. These experiences are designed to provide learners with concrete understanding by imitating real life situation in a simplified, controlled, or manageable way. Contrived experiences help learners grasp complex concepts that may be too difficult or impractical to experience directly. Examples include are to imitate real-world environments like a virtual lab experiment or a flight simulator. Next is interactive 3D models, machinery, or anatomy that learners can manipulate on a computer screen. And next is dramatized experience. Dramatized experience refers to the learning activities where learners either watch or actively participate in dramatizations or role playing of real life situations or concepts. This level of experiences is more concrete than purely abstract method because it allows learners to engage in mathematical through expressive situation reenactments that help understanding and internalize ideas and events by acting them out or observing the dramatizations. Example of dramatized in technology education include using digital storytelling tools to create and perform plays or role plays in a computer or a tablet. Next is implement in virtual role-playing stimulations with students act out scenarios using avatars or video conferencing. Another example is leveraging video recordings or live streaming to stage and reflect on dramatized lessons. And next is demonstration. In demonstration, it is refers to a learning experiences where the teacher or another person visually shows how something works or how to do a task. It involves learners watching the process or skills being performed in a clear step-by-step manner but does not require active participation by the learners themselves. Demonstrations are more concrete than purely verbal or symbolic instruction because learners see the actual process or behavior in action. This step demonstration illustrates how technology tools can be used to align with Edgar Dale's levels of learning from immersive interactive teach experiments to more symbolic abstract learning, maximizing engagement and retention. Next is field trips. Field trips allows learner to observe and sometimes participate in real-world activities outside the traditional classroom setting. These experiences engage multiple senses and provide rich hands-on exposures to objects, situations, or environments relevant to the subject being studied. Example, taking students to a robotic lab where they can watch robots being built or programmed. Next is visiting a technology company or innovation hub to observe how software is developed or hardware is assembled. Which is exhibits, refers to the physical displays or collections of real objects and artifacts that learners can observe to gain concrete learning experiences. Exhibits are more concrete than videos or pictures, but less interactive than direct experiences like field trips or hands-on activities. They provide tangible, visual access to real things that learners can see and sometimes touch, helping make abstract concepts more understandable through real-world examples. A technology museum's exhibits showcasing early computers, gadgets, or hardware components, or other display of historical telecommunication equipment or vintage processors.
Motion pictures are learning materials that use moving images and sound to show reality. They can be silent or with sound, but their main purpose is to make learners feel like they are really seeing or experiencing an event. For example, a video of a historical event can make students feel as if they were there. The strength of motion picture is that they show things in a realistic and emotional way. They can organize information, highlight important parts, and explain ideas more clearly through pictures and dramatizations. This makes lessons more interesting and easier to understand. Motion pictures are very useful because they help students connect abstract ideas like freedom, courage, or science concept with concrete experience that they can actually see or hear. This makes learning deeper and more memorable. Additional information is that motion pictures can motivate students because they are entertaining and engaging. They can be used in many subjects like history, science, literature, and even values education. Teachers should choose motion picture carefully to make sure they are in age appropriations and connected to the lesson objectives. Motion pictures can also encourage discussions and reflection, not just passive watching. So, audio recordings and photos are learning materials that give students a more and real concrete experience compared to only using words. They are not as direct as hands-on activities, but they still help learners understand better through the sense of hearing and sight. Audio recordings focus on the sense of hearing. They include things like lectures, speeches, storytelling, or music. These help students listen, remember, and reflect on ideas. For example, hearing a recording of a famous speech makes it more powerful than just reading the text. Photos or photographs use the sense of sight. They give learners clear visual image that make lesson more real and easier to understand. For example, a photo of a volcano can help students imagine its size and shapes better than just reading about it. These materials are very useful because they connect abstract ideas with real experiences. They provide sensory input through hearing and seeing. That makes learning more vivid and memorable and easier to relate. So pictures or visual symbols are learning materials that use images to represent ideas or reality. They are more abstract than real-life experiences because they do not show the actual objects but instead give a representation of it. Example of visual symbol include charts, graphs, maps, and diagrams. These are not exact copies of real things, but they are very useful in showing information in a clear way and organized way. Visual symbols help simplify complex ideas so learners can understand them more easily. For example, a graph can show changes over time better than just reading numbers, or a map can explain locations more clearly than only describing them with words. These tools are important because they let students see relationships, comparisons that may be hard to explain through words alone. They guide learners in connecting abstract concepts to real life understanding by showing information visually. So, text or verbal symbols are the most abstract typing of learning material. They use letter, words, and language to represent ideas or objects. Unlike pictures or real life experiences, words do not look, sound, or feel like actual things they stand for. For example, the word tree is just a group of letters, it does not look like a real tree. Because words are abstract, learners need to have prior experience or background knowledge to understand them. For instance, a student who has never seen a tree will find it hard to understand what a word tree really means. Text and verbal symbols are very important in learning because they allow us to communicate complex ideas, read books, write essays, and share knowledge. However, teacher must connect them with more concrete experiences like pictures, examples, or real objects so students can fully understand their meaning. So conventional technology refers to the traditional tools for learning that teachers and students have used for many years. This includes textbooks, pictures, and audio recordings. They are important because they lay the ground or serve as a foundation of learning before modern digital tools were introduced. Textbooks provide organized lessons, information, and exercise that guide students' learning. Pictures makes lesson more concrete by giving visual examples. Audio recordings help students learn by listening, such as through speeches, music, or storytelling. Even if they are all considered old compared to the modern technology, these materials are still reliable, effective, and widely used in classroom. They support learning by giving students structured content and sensory experience, seeing or hearing, which makes lesson easier to understand. We're talking about the traditional tools used in learning before modern digital technology. This includes textbooks, pictures, and audio recordings. Textbooks give organized lessons, activities, and information for students to study. Pictures help students see examples and make lessons more concrete, while audio recording lets students learn by listening, such as through music, speeches, or stories. These tools are important because they lay the groundwork for learning. Even today, they are still useful, reliable, and effective in supporting lessons, especially when combined with new technology. So when we say innovation technology, it means that we are talking about a modern and advanced tool that makes learning more interactive and immersive. This includes virtual reality or VR, interactive labs, and augmented reality or AR. Virtual reality simulations allow students to enter a computer-generated world where they can explore and experience things as if they were real, like visiting space or walking inside the human body. Interactive labs give students a chance to do experiments and activities online, which helps them learn by doing without needing a physical laboratory. Augmented reality or AR adds digital images or information to the real world through devices like smartphones or AR glasses, making lesson more engaging and fun. These technologies are important because they make abstract concepts more concrete, help students practice skills safely, and encourage active participations in learning. They prepare learners for 21st century digital world. So when we say traditional methods, it means that we are talking about the older way of teaching, such as films, demonstrations, and field trips. These methods range from passive observation, just watching or listening, to active engagement, like participating in a field trip. They have been used for a long time in educations and provide foundational learning experiences for students. Emerging technologies. So when we say emerging technologies, it means that we are talking about the new tools in educations that give students more immersions and interactivity. Example, are VR field trips that can take learners to historical sites, interactive 3D models that students can move and explore, and gamified learning environments that adjust to student progress. These make learning more engaging, personalized, and fun.
Alright, so today we are going to discuss the TPAC. So TPAC stands for Technological, Pedagogical, and Content Knowledge. It's a framework that helps teachers effectively integrate technology into their teaching practices. When we say technological knowledge, it is about knowing how to use technological tools like laptops, tablets, or educational apps. It is teaching technological tools, how to use technological tools. And then when we say pedagogical knowledge, it is knowing how to teach students effectively using methods like lectures, discussions, or activities. More on methods. That is pedagogical knowledge.
Content knowledge. Content knowledge refers to a teacher's deep understanding of the subject matter they are teaching. It goes beyond just memorizing facts. It includes knowing concepts, theories, and frameworks of the disciplines and being able to explain clearly in simple terms, adapt lessons to different students' learning styles, and use relevant examples so learners can relate. Organize information logically for easier comprehension. In short, content knowledge ensures students achieve deep understanding instead of just rote memorization. So here are some reflective questions for teaching. When planning and teaching, a teacher should ask, what I am teaching, subject or specific lesson content. And next is, who am I teaching? The learner's age, needs, background, and learning styles. How will I teach it? The strategies, methods, and tools like pedagogy and technology. How will I know if the students understand? By using assessments, feedback, observation, and students' outputs. These questions ensure the lessons are meaningful, learner-centered, and effective. So, why TPAC matters in teaching? TPAC, or Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge, is a framework that reminds teachers to integrate technology, pedagogy, and content in balance. Without TPAC, teachers may use flashy tools that distract students instead of helping them to learn. So with TPAC, technology is purposefully chosen to enhance both teaching and learning. For example, instead of using PowerPoint just for decoration, a teacher might use Nearpad or Kahoot to make lessons interactive, check understanding in real time, and engage students actively.
The Assure model is an instructional design framework that helps teachers plan lessons effectively while making purposeful use of media and technology. It is a step-by-step guide to ensure that teaching strategies, learning objectives, and technology integrations are aligned to support students' learning. The model's name is an acronym where each letters represent a stage in planning the process. A. Analyze learners. Teachers begin by examining who their learners and their age, grade level, prior knowledge, learning style, and special needs. These help in designing lessons that fit students' abilities and interests. Next, S. State objective, clear, and measurable learning objectives are set. These should specify what students will be able to do at the end of the lesson, often framed in behavioral terms. Next, S. Select methods, media, and material. Teachers choose appropriate teaching methods, digital tools and resources, example video slides, interactive apps that match the objectives and suit the learner's need.
Number 4. Utilize media and materials. Effectively implement unselected media and materials in the classroom or learning environment to support instruction. This involves using various types of media and materials to support instruction and enhance student learning. Examples include videos, images, podcasts, interactive whiteboards, and educational software. Number 5. Require learner participation. Incorporate activities that actively engage students and ensure they are involved in the learning process. This involves incorporating activities that actively engage students and encouraging them to participate in the learning process. Examples include discussion, group work, hands-on activity, and think, pair, share. Using think, pair, share to encouraging students to reflect on the learning and share their thoughts with a partner. Number 6. Evaluate and revise. Assess the effectiveness of the lesson based on the student performance and the success of the materials and methods, and then make necessary improvements for the future lesson. This involves assessing the effectiveness of the lesson and making necessary improvements for future lesson. Examples include using formative and summative assessment, gathering student feedback, and reflecting on the teaching practices. By incorporating these strategies, educators can create engaging and effective learning environments that support student learning and achievement.
Connecting the models, practical synergy, these power Dale's Cone, TPAC, and Assure are not isolated concepts but rather complementing framework effective in engaging technology. Dale's Cone is guide the selections of immersive hands-on experiences. So when we say guides the selections of immersive and hands-on experiences, it means providing criteria, strategies, or principles that help teachers, trainers, or facilitators choose the most effective active learning activities for the learners. Examples: in science, instead of only reading about the chemical reactions, students perform simple experiments. And then for TPAC, ensures technology aligns with both pedagogy and content. So when we say ensures technology aligns with both pedagogy and content, it means that technology should not just be used for the sake of being modern or attractive, but it must support what is being taught or content and how it is being taught pedagogy. Assure, provide a systematic roadmap, top plan, implement and assess lesson. And then when we say provides a systematic roadmap to plan, implement, and assess a lesson, it means following a clear step-by-step guide that help teachers organize their teachings from the start to finish. Planning, like teachers identify what students should learn, choose appropriate methods, materials, and activities, and anticipate possible challenges. For implementation, the plan is carried out in the classroom, through engaging strategies, hands-on activities, and technology if needed, making sure learners stay active and focused. And assessment is teacher check whether students achieve the goals through tests, project, discussions, or performance tasks, then use the result to improve future lessons.
In conclusion, effective technology integration in education is a deliberate process that requires a deep understanding of learning theories and instructional design principles. By delivering frameworks like DILS cones and TPAC, educators can create immersive and engaging learning experience that balance content, pedagogy, and technology. The Evaluate, Teach, Assure models provide a systematic approach to planning and implementing technology-driven lessons. As we move forward, the future of education will be characterized by interactive, intentional, and learner-centered approach. By collaboratively designing learning experiences that prioritize students' understanding, we can empower learners to reach their full potential. Ultimately, through the use of technology has the power to transform education, enabling students to develop their critical thinking, creativity, and problem-solving skills. By working together, we can create learning environments that are engaging, effective, and student-centered, preparing learners to successful in the future world.